Yo, what's up, everybody? So, welcome to a guided meditation. If you're new, welcome. Typically, I talk too much and then we do some energy work. So, that's gonna happen at some point, I promise. Um, the topic that I want to like explore, and we'll do like this for like at least a couple weeks. And if y'all are really interested, like I'm game. We can do this a lot longer. But I want to talk about claircognizance, and we started with clairvoyance, and I'm always like, I don't know, I try to be like thoughtful, skillful, but something like clairvoyance, like, everybody and their mom, their neighbors come, people's pets show up because they're just like, oh my God, clairvoyance, and everyone thinks they want clairvoyance. Um, and then there's like, shadow work, there's like healing our healing trauma bonding there, and then that tends to be like a lot less people, and even like the six perfections classes, right? I was like ethical morality, and then like a couple people show up, right? And then I'm like, different forms of integrity, and like less and less, and then I'm like clairvoyance, and everyone's like, yeah. So anyways, I don't think claircognizance has like the weight on like social media and like different places. Like it doesn't have the weight I think that it does in like the spirit world. Like, because if somebody out there, if I imagined like the field of energy work, if somebody has like dope, pristine, crystal clear vision, or somebody has deep intuitive knowing and can do something with it, I would, this one's got a weight that clear seeing can't touch, because clear seeing to me is just like the ability to like see the energies that are moving, see what's happening, right? Our knowing is where I actually get the intuitive hit of what the fuck that means and why I'm getting that message altogether. So an example, right, would be like I get a phone call to do a session, or like I'm doing something. And for myself, I identify as human. I love being human. I don't identify as an energy worker, as a psychic. Like I think that's all, to be honest, like kind of boring and lame. Because I think it's like it's so played out. Like I think I really love being human, being fully human, and then I use all of these gifts to like support being a really good person, being a person that can like leverage these gifts and do something meaningful with them. But again, I get a phone call. This person is hitting me up for energy work, right? So clairvoyance would be like, I get the phone call. I mean, I'm gonna be over the top, right? I'm in a trance. I get flashes of light. I'm like, oh my God, their aura's yellow. And I'm like, I see their grandmother in their field. And then like there's dolphins swimming, there's a tree, a fire in the background. And then I'm like, oh my God, that's such a beautiful vision. Um, Clairvoyance, I have to interpret those things. And I have no idea, right? Like maybe the dolphins were happy, and I'm like, you were a dolphin in another life, right? And then they're like, oh my God, I'm scared of dolphin. Like a dolphin bit me when I was a kid. And I'm like, oh shit. And then I'm like, now I'm like triggering them. This is now a nightmare because like they're having flashbacks. Um, I didn't know the dolphin was like their equivalent of like Terminator, like or a scary movie, right? The fire, same thing. Like I see a little fire and I'm like, I love fire. Fire is great, right? And then they're like scared of fire for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? Like just because I see something in the field doesn't mean I should share it. Doesn't mean my relationship to those images are their relationship to those images, right? So as examples, right? Claircognizance is I get that phone call. The person's going in and sharing, they're talking about their job. They're like, I did this session because I'm going to do a timeline shift, right? Claircognizance is I'm like, there's healing that they need to do with their mom. There's childhood experiences that are blocking them from taking this next step. The things that they're dreaming of, they're not even on the same timeline to have yet. That there's all this deep work that's needed to get there. And then again, claircognizance is I'm like, and they just need more like support to do it. And there's support waiting for them, but they just haven't known how to open to it. Right? Like that's clean. That's sharp. That's precise. It's minimally filtered, still filtered, y'all. Minimally filtered because I'm not interpreting an image that like gets filtered through all of my symbolism, all of my lived experiences, right? I'm getting the clean hits of this is where to look, this is the work to do. And then claircognizance is then I can ask the question of like, cool, am I qualified to do this with them? Do I have the skills? And claircognizance is going to be like, you know, over here, clairvoyance, I'm getting the read and I'm like, should I help them? And then like the dolphin comes back and swims with me. And then like I'm floating and I'm like, the dolphin says yes. And they're like, no, no more dolphins. You know what I'm saying? They're like, it's freaking me out, right? Like they're triggered even more. And I think again, like with clairvoyance, like I have to set up a system to get yes or no answers. So again, like I might be like, am I qualified to help them? And I might have to ask the images to like show me if I am or am not, right? So like an example would be like, is it appropriate for me to share this? And the image lights up, then I assume it's a yes. And if it's a no, then the image will dim, right? In claircognizance, they're just like, mijo, stay home, bro. What are you doing? Why are you trying to do energy work when like you need to be cleaning your room? And I'm like, claircognizance, thank you for the feedback, right? I'm like, I will have to call you back. Sorry, ma'am. Right? Claircognizance is like, it's going to be clear. I'm like, oh, this person isn't here for my help. They're sharing this because like there's gaps in my field. I'm going to send them to one of my friends, one of my teachers, right? Like I'm going to get these clean, sharp, precise, sometimes like earth-shattering hits. Again, I would take somebody with like their intuition online way, way, way before somebody who learned clairvoyance, somebody who identifies as a psychic, somebody can see the future, like, you know, so you can see the future that's always changing. I'm like, bro, you can guess it's probably a future probability. You know what I'm saying? They're like, your mom's gonna be happy one day. And I'm like, you know, you know what I'm saying? It's a yes or no. That's probably true. Maybe gonna be true. They're like, you're gonna move one day. I'm like, yeah, okay. You know, like, same with clairvoyance. They're just like, oh my God, your aura's blue. I'm like, yeah, fool. Like, I'm running it blue. Like, what? They're like, your shirt's green. I'm like, yeah, my shoes are black. I'm wearing socks. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you want to trade the things you see? Like, it doesn't help, right? Claircognizance, right? They're like, why haven't you done your mom's work? And I'm like, you know, I'm like, they're like, I'm just like trying to, I'm like, it got hot. Why is it, why is it that you're reading me so sharp, you know? So anyways, that's my critique. That's my perspective. If you're not game with it, like, you know, I think that's valid and important. So now claircognizance, right? So then again, as I was sharing before the recording, right? It's like, I don't think claircognizance, in my opinion, is developed. I think it's intrinsic. Everyone has intuitive knowing. There can just be a precision of like how I receive that, a precision in like what questions I'm asking, what criteria that question has. An example of criteria would be like, again, I'm like, can I help this person? Yes or no. When I get that answer right, I'm like, great, these are the things I can help with. Which one? Right? Like that to me is like, that's the precision. Criteria is like, you know, with this that I'm looking at this from, what is like, again, like the best session to do? What is the best approach to do the healing work from? So again, not developed, it's a space. I think what we can develop is like the depth of our asking. And that's like the best way I was like coming up with like a way to describe this, right? Is like asking questions in such a way that like they demand to be answered, even if it's not a yes or no answer. And so an example, and I always give this, but I'm like how meaningful can my life be? How helpful can I be? How generous can I be? How can I best support this person? Right. And like, if I make a really beautiful, deep space for that question, then like the answers I get will be equally as big. So I'm like, and I think of my community all the time, right? And I'm just like, I used to, for real, like I used to, for most of my life, periodically just like fall to my altar and cry and just ask to be like transformed into whatever would help my community the most. And that opening and that asking like demands an answer. And that is claircognizance, right? Like what gets answered, what gets brought in, that's, when people talk about intuition, like I think, my opinion, right, is I think that's what we mean, is like those places that get hits, those places that, know more than we could know with this cognitive mind, where they're just like, this is my stop right here. And I'm like, well, I've never been here. And they're like, it's here, right? Like, I don't know why, but I know that part of me that knows without knowing. So that's what I want to practice today. And we're going to do a few things, right? We're going to make a space for that knowing. We're going to clear what creates those, like that second guessing. And then somebody earlier asked, and I think this always comes up where folks are like, well, how do you know it's clairvoyance? And like, how do you know it's like your intuition versus like intrusive thoughts or like other people's energy? I'll say like, when you know, you'll know. And I think you can validate the second guessing. So an example there is like, I'm like, should I move? And then I'm like waiting and I'm like, should I move? And like nothing answers. And I'm like, wait, was that a yes? Like a helicopter passes by, I'm like, oh, that's a no. And then like a car's honking and I'm like, wait, that was two honks. That's a yes. Right? Like, or like I'm plucking flowers to be like, do this person love me? Do they not love me? Do they love me? Do they not love me? Right? Like, that's not intuition, right? Like, I think like that space for knowing, if I ask the question and there's a lot bouncing back and forth, right? I would say honor that in that moment, there's a lot of intensity around me getting this answer. So an example again, I'm like, should I move? And then I'm like, wait, yes, no, yes, no. I would just start with like, I hear with me, right? I hear that with you, like Ken, like getting an answer is like really important right now. And maybe there isn't an answer right now. Right. And starting there, that creates a pause in that self-talk, creates a pause in that bouncing, that then I can ask again to be like, and if it wasn't that I had so much intensity, what would the answer be in this moment? Right. And then I'm maybe like, oh, I'm getting a no. I'm like, oh, well, that sucks. I wanted to move to Hawaii. And I'm like, man, all my Hawaiian shirts. Oh, right. But like the intensity is that like, I'm like, well, I already got, I already started tanning. I started hitting the gym. I'm going to look great in shorts, right? And Tucson's cold during this time of the year. Hawaii's not, right? Like that's the intensity, but the intuitive knowing, it has an answer. I just have to make space to find that answer. And if I'm bouncing up here, that answer down here isn't going to be, I'm just like not at the same like range, right? So let me just check comments. So I think it's confusing when they fall. Yeah, there we go. So like somebody sharing like, it gets confusing when the answer I don't quite accept as the truth. And I think for myself, y'all, like I've said this in a lot of my other classes for folks that have taken courses with me. But my for my personal practice, and this might not work for everybody, right? I used to do energy work until it would break my heart. And what I mean by that is like, if I'm like, why does my boss suck? And I'm like, you know what? They're probably just a narcissist. And I'm like, oh yeah, totally. They're a narcissist, right? Like if that was my question and that was the answer I got, I trained myself to be very suspicious. And I trained myself to keep asking questions until the answer I got broke something open in me. And so like specifically, right, with my boss, it'd be like, why are they such an asshole? And I'm like, well, there was that one time I was like super shady with them. And I'm like, I know I'm not that nice with them. And I'm like, cool. And then why am I not that nice with them? I'm like, I don't know. Like I kind of feel weird around them. I feel like, I don't know, like it brings up some of my insecurities. And I'm like, I guess I just really want their validation. I just want them to be proud of me. And I'm like, damn, I guess that's really similar to my relationship with my dad. And this whole time, I just want my dad to be proud of me. And if, I don't know if that's happened yet. Right. Like, and that's for me, I would ask questions until I got there. Otherwise, I'm like, the answer's probably bullshit. For me, that has worked wonders. And to me, valuing truth over my comfort was how I created a space for claircognizance. So if I get an answer that I don't like, I'm gonna like really make a big space for that. Because if I get an answer that I totally like, I'm like, I don't know, Ken, you sneaky sometimes, bro. I'm like, that sounds like just passive aggressive. So anyways, I hope that's helpful. It seems that what my intuition time. That's awesome, Tamika. I would say most of the time, my claircognizance, that shit is precise and simple. And it is, and maybe this is helpful for everybody. I usually would typically get like a 1 or 2 word answer. It's typically, it drops in, it's a really clear, no, you're not qualified. It's a really clear, it's this mom's shit, it's this person's like heart. They have guarding guarding that worked really well to help them, but this guarding is now keeping them from exploring and experiencing life. For my own work, I get really simple answers as well. I'm like, okay, I really want to be happy. Why is my life so difficult? I open to that question, right? I'm going to clear everybody else's information. I'm going to clear all this other stuff, right? When I open to that knowing, sometimes I literally would just get like a hit of a place in my body. I don't get a fancy read. I don't get, it's a parallel life and meshed with this one. And if you clear karma with elemental beings, right? Like, nah, they're literally like your second center. And then when that's my claircognizant hit, I drop to my second center, I open space and I just start to clear that center. And I asked to see what was hidden. So what was beyond my capacity before that now I'm ready to work on. And it was beyond my capacity because I didn't do the work, right? If I had the capacity, I would have done that work, right? So I'm like, here's this new place for healing, this place that's just beyond what I know. How can I hold it? And again, that intuitive space will give me the next direction. So they'll be like, there's a lot of pain here, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, I did see some crazy shit growing up. I'm like, oh yeah, I am fundamentally traumatized and don't know how to relate to other people. Oh, that, I'm like, here we go again, right? Like, I don't know about y'all's work. That's what it's like for me. And so then that's simple, clean, precise. I've never got a claircognizant hit for my own work that was I was enmeshed in a parallel life with another realm 3 lifetimes ago. Like that's never come up. It's always just like this really sweet deep work, and then that other stuff clean. Like it shifts really easy. Like I hope that makes sense, Tamika. And you can ask again. So I'm receiving this thing. Perfect. Yeah, I think y'all getting it. I have trying to listen to my body, receive signals from my body. Is there a way to develop that? That's a good question. yeah, so we're gonna do this. So thank you for giving me language. Um, cool. All right, yeah. I hope I'm grateful it's making sense. So cool. So what we're gonna do, for folks that were here or not here, we're gonna kind of create this container, and we're gonna pull on the clairvoyance that we've been opening, right? We're gonna pull on that field to just give us permission to see with more clarity what's happening in this claircognizant space. And it's a big word, right? But so just what's happening with my knowingness. We're gonna touch into the places that know, and then just see, do I give myself permission to know? Do I make space for that knowingness? Who's in the way? You know, if I'm here and my knowingness is here, right? Like, who's in that gap? And sometimes it's that, like, my mom's energy is in that gap between myself and my knowingness. That sometimes I like relied on her knowing, or my mom didn't let me know, right? So like, we're gonna find what's in that space. Next, we're gonna ask, what are like, I'll say like, what space can I create for my questions, right? So what's my gaps? What are my questions? And do I allow my questions to like have room? You know, and I truly think, when I think of energy work, when I think of questions, I don't think they're meant to be answered, y'all. Like, I think for me, I'm like, questions are meant to be explorations. I'm just like, yeah, I'm like, how fun could this life be? And then like somebody comes in, they're like 70% fun. You know, I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, how loving can I be? And they're like 45%. And I'm like, oh, okay. Right. No, that's not the point. The point is like, how fun could this life be? And I'm like, fuck, it could be really fun. I'm like, yeah, I could jump off of shit. I could light things on fire. I'm like, bro, I could run into the park right now if I wanted to. I'm like, damn, I want to throw shoes on like a like one of those electrical wires. I mean, that seems cool. I'm like, I'm gonna climb that house, right? Like you could just sit there and like explore from that question. Same thing, like people are like, well, how do chords work? Like a better question is like, what would be the best way for me to clear chords? What would be the best way for me to clear chords with my mom? What would be the most skillful way, the most kindest way, the way that would help me and her grow the most? What's that technique to clear chords, right? And no one on Facebook is gonna pop up with a course of like, the answer to your question, Ken. You know, like that's my exploration. We're gonna open that space of exploration, which is why we have claircognizance. That's my opinion, right? So like, again, we worked on binoculars, but if I'm staring at a wall, like it does not matter how good those binoculars are, right? If I'm like looking for a bird, or if I'm, doing whatever, right? Like that's the point. Um, and then from there, when I get those answers, can I honor them? Right? Do they get to have real estate? Do they get to have weight? Or, so let's say I do, I'm like, you know what? The kindest way for me to clear cords with my mom that would honor my love for her and everything that she did for me, and also create this space for me to individuate so that I can like be my whole self, which is what she wants. So she can be her whole self, right? And I'm like, and I think the technique would be like using a lot of water. I'm like, there's this place I did, my mom grew up in Mexico, and like I spent a lot of time in that area. I'm like, I want to bring those energies to wash over those cords. And then I want to like offer these energies of like where we were enmeshed. I want to offer them to the land. And then from there, I want to like individuate by recalling both of our energies, right? When I get that clear hit, it can't be second guessed if I let that intuitive hit, even if it's wrong, right? Even if it's not the best way to clear chords, but it's my intuitive way to clear chords, right? Letting it have weight. So that if my friend is like, well, you should do a clearing ceremony, you're supposed to use a knife. If you don't use a knife and a flame that's violet, then like those chords are gonna come back. And then like my intuitive hits just dissolve. And then I'm like, oh my God, how much does that cost? And they're like, it's gonna be 12 sessions. It's gonna be $500 each session, right? Like you can write that check out to me today if you'd like, right? Like people are gonna sway us. But if that intuitive hit has weight, then all this other shit is just like, I just think of it as like a suggestion written on a napkin that I put in a suggestion box at the outside of my aura. And I periodically check that suggestion box. But those like little caca napkins, like, they don't step into my field, right? Like I get to, like, my perspective matters, my lived experiences matter. And that reflects in my field, my energy. So like my intuitive hits are precious beyond measure. Because like that's my relationship to me and to the divine. And like I really want to heal my relationship with my mom. So why would I trust a stranger with like shitty ideas with that? Like I'm like, I don't even know their relationship with their mom. I'm like, like, so anyways, I hope this is making sense. And if we do that enough, right? And if you practice that with these really kind of core moments, then that claircognizance will be worth its weight in gold. Beyond that, right? Like, literally, we'll handle questions of life and death precisely. Clairvoyance does not have that weight, in my opinion, right? Like, being in like being a psychic, being able to see probabilities does not matter when that depth and clarity of just that knowing, where I'm just like, no, this is the right choice. Like, I don't give a fuck what happens. Like, this is where I'm at. And again, same thing. Like, people can have all kinds of really beautiful systems that work for them, 2,000-year-old traditions, that they're doing cool shit. It won't matter, because this is what provides results for me. I'm gonna jump into the meditation, but hold on, ask a question. Can clear seeing evolve to clear knowing? I would say what I see is you bring those together. So it's, you don't see from your clairvoyance, and you don't just get intuitive hits, you blend them together, right? So your clairaudience, your clairsentience, your clairvoyance, right? I don't know what the other clairs, we're going to work on them, but it's that we're all using them to support like this intuitive, like, knowing, to have precision to it. So my intuitive knowing has clairvoyance, in that's my opinion, but my clairvoyance doesn't always have intuitive knowing. Again, in my opinion, and it could be the opposite for y'all, but that's just like my perspective, and yeah, that's how we're gonna explore. So anyways, but let's jump into it. So y'all game, we got 20 minutes. So we're gonna start this session, this meditation, like we do every week, and let's just imagine like we're all in this really beautiful energetic bubble, and we're gonna bring earth and universal energies. And we have all this like beautiful momentum. And there's momentum from like every week that you individually have been here. And there's also momentum that as a community, we've been doing this, I think, almost 3 years. And we're just going to invite that momentum. And we're going to let the space be filled with all of that beautiful energy, all of those beautiful like intentions. And just allow earth and universal energies to like stabilize, nurture, nourish, evolve, deepen those energies. And we're unlocking something super fun. Good. And so as we set that as the intention to open our cognizance, to like reclaim it, uncover it, allow your guides, vaster guidance to like be excited with us. And again, just to put it out there, right, we're going to clear what's like in the way, clearing those gaps, opening to how we ask questions. And then having stability, right? When we get when we reclaim our authentic energies, when we reclaim these aspects of ourselves, can we support them in just being so precious and reflecting that preciousness in our aura? Perfect. So as we kind of bring those energies into our container, we're going to bring our awareness to our individual auras. And so imagine that that's a bubble around you. We're going to refresh our connection to the earth and allow all these beautiful deep earth energies to come up. And your connection to the earth is how the earth brings exactly what you need in this moment. That right combination of love, stability, fierceness, courage. And for fun, since we've been opening clairvoyance, let those energies come in, like those different energy qualities. And also allow those energies to come in like different colors, even different densities, different sounds. Sometimes you can even make your grounding cord different shapes, different sizes. So it could be like a root system, it could be like a beam of light, it could be like a river. And then we're going to start clearing energies. And I like to just imagine something simple like magnets. But for fun, you can put an energetic black hole that clears inauthentic energies, but doesn't touch anything that's authentic, anything that's aligned. Whatever mechanism we're clearing, just we're clearing the front, we're clearing the back of our body. And then we're going to have our guides recalling our authentic energies. So as we're clearing, we're filling those spaces. And again, we're going to start with that clairvoyance. So we're going to bring earth and universal energies. We're going to start at our crown, at our third eye. This whole kind of complex and I like to imagine my guides have like cleaning supplies and they're like clearing out spider webs in my clairvoyance. They're like picking up clothes I left there of old energy reads. Intuitive hits I had around ex-partners that I never used. Nice. And again, for fun, clairvoyance would be like you visualize pieces of paper being sent to a fire. Sometimes I'd find people, literally like a random person, like in my crown space. Old DVDs and CDs, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how they even end up there. And then as they're doing that clearing, we're just going to create this space for this little kind of like evolution, these little refinements. And then just allow that clairvoyance to get like turned on. And again, you can see that as a color. For cute things, right? You can have a little on and off switch. Perfect. We're going to get some clean reads first. So just notice how was your aura running before this meditation? And then now notice how your aura is running in this moment. And just kind of compare those two right next to each other. How was your aura running before and after? And we're going to just honor that read and let that information like dissolve and integrate. And now we're going to use that clairvoyance to identify where does our claircognizance, right? Where does our intuitive knowing, where does that rest in our body? Where do the parts of me that know, where do they live? And just allow something to kind of open, and we're going to bring earth and universe energies. And we're just going to start to wash over that area with earth, with healing, nourishing water. And bring the elements of fire. And just let that area start to clear and release. We'll bring the elements of wind. And then we can just bring golden cosmic energies and deep earth energies. And just allow that space to be like healed. Allow that space to be really celebrated. For fun, you can have your guides kind of do that same cleaning. You can imagine there's like a backlog of intuitive hits that we never listened to, you know what I'm saying? They're like, oh yeah, I did know that was gonna be a terrible relationship. And they're like, yeah, bro, we told you. And I'm like, oh, yeah. All the things that we could have saved a lot of time and money because our intuitive knowing was on point. There you go. And just imagine like we're honoring those reads and just like moving them out. And you can upload those into your Akashic. There, good. Perfect. And then next, you can imagine that we start removing other people's intuition. So maybe my mom's intuition, my grandmother's, other friends, relatives, even other psychics, like other people's knowing that we relied on, and just slowly like put some distance between us and our deep knowing. And we'll refresh our connection to the earth. We're going to bring lots of love, lots of forgiveness. Lots of playfulness. It's totally a part of being human. There you go. And as we're moving those energies out of that space, allow your guides to continue to like evolve that knowingness, that claircognizance. There you go. Good. And again, we're going to just like reclaim, recover that deep knowing. Perfect. Good. One more time, we're going to refresh our connection to the earth. One more time, we're going to have our guides recall our authentic energies. And one more time, we're going to clear energies using Again, magnets, a black hole, a little fire, whatever's helping us clear. Pulling on that once more. And then allow everything that we're bringing in to like start opening things up in the Akashic. Start unlocking aspects of your vaster soul, your vaster essence, just whatever's appropriate. And then allow those energies to download through. Honoring each of our energy centers, honoring our heart. And claircognizance. And then again, we're gonna just notice like how beautiful and like how precious and important this knowing is. And there's gonna be times that we don't listen to it. And I use those times to like recommit myself to valuing my intuition. Perfect. Now we're going to use our claircognizance to get some reads. So we have our aura before the session and after the session. This session, like, and again, just kind of notice the difference between what was happening in your aura before, what's happening in your aura now. And then just let your claircognizance answer of what's the difference. And just see if something lights up, see if you just get an intuitive hit. And again, we were kind of thinking about that depth of our asking. We're going to ask the question of like, how can I deepen my relationship to my intuition? You can ask like, are there practices I can do? And again, if you're not getting an answer, if you're getting something really quick, you can ask to clarify. If we're not getting an answer, you can ask, is there anything that's keeping me from getting an answer? In moments that we're overthinking it, you can ask, what do I need to like support my conscious mind so I can get an intuitive hit? And just really big compassion, really big validation that like it's hard being a person. We're all doing really good jobs. It's totally okay to be where we're at. And so let's just like really love up and honor like our conscious mind. Let's wash over our conscious mind and our self-talk and everything kind of up here in our crown with earth energies, healing, nourishing water, the element of fire, and then wind. And let that just start to evolve our identity, our self-concept, our reality and belief structures. And then as we're healing the conscious mind, let's just one more time tune into that place where we're getting those intuitive hits. Once again, really honoring them, how important they are. And whether we got those hits or not, just really trusting that we did something significant for ourselves, like on a personality level, but even on a bigger level. There we go, perfect. And then we're just gonna let this whole process clear, dissolve, and integrate. We're gonna clear with magnets, refresh our connection to the earth. We're gonna recall our authentic energies and just offer these energies back in time and forward in time. Just imagining that all of this beautiful work that we did, that these energies could be available for younger versions of ourselves. And letting that evolve our past, letting it evolve our present. And allowing this to gently evolve our timeline in whatever ways would be appropriate. And then we're gonna allow this all to integrate. We're gonna individuate by recalling our authentic energies from one another's space. And then sending anyone else's energies in our space back to them. If there's any of my energies in your space, let your guides, even things that you really enjoyed that I said, let your guides take that information and like make it your own. Have it be aligned with your lived experience. Good. Perfect. And as we individuate, refresh your connection to the earth, recall your authentic energies, clear whatever is inauthentic. And then this beautiful container, imagine that we can just like offer it out to the universe, where any beings that want to learn how to deepen in their knowingness and their intuition, that these like really beautiful and precious energies can be available to them. And just so it's like not so hard to grow and to like learn. And I think of how hard I had to work to get here, and just imagining that all these beautiful teachings are available so that whoever wants to grow can grow really easily, can have like really big support and lots of people like cheering them on. And all we have to do is like open to these teachings and then we can get them. And then as we release the container, let's just allow earth energies to celebrate that we did something significant and that we opened to like really valuing our intuition, really valuing our truth and our lived experiences. And that we're badasses for it. Bringing lots of sparkles in, and boom. Up everybody. So we can be in the chat if anyone has comments or questions. And then keep the comments, keep the questions like specific to the process. Sometimes people are like totally from like left field, like asking questions like, all right, but is it possible to unlock my cat's solar plexus chakra in the Akashic? And I'm like, all right, wait, we just did the claircognizance meditation. Can we stick to that? It's always the sparkles, so beautiful. I always feel hungry after these meditations. Damn. I'm gonna open a restaurant and energy work center one day, watch. That's the business model. My guys brought out the fabuloso. I know, yo, my guys like hella domestic. They're like sweeping, dusting the rug. I don't know why. For me, it's like really cute and it works. But I'm like, something that came through this process was questioning, who is this message coming from? Yeah, I asked that question quite a bit. That's very important, Sarah. Now we're getting, I felt super clear. The message was to be to trust my voice. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, for me, it's always that they're just like, trust. That's it. That's my claircognizance. They're just like, trust, release fear. You're like, damn. To create, to restore my intuition. That's awesome, Fatima. I love that. Cumbias, that's awesome. It was the intuitive hit about exes for me. That's awesome. Sweeping. This was really fun. So soothing in terms of affirming my questions and curiosity. I love that. Yeah, so I hope y'all can see that this is like something that deepens by like our engagement of it, right? And I think of, I always use this example. So if you've heard it 1,000 times, here's the 1,001th time. But I think of it as like a friendship, and like no, if even if I met someone who's like super cool, who I'm like, oh my God, me and this person, we're like totally best friends. We just met, right? Like the organic way that that friendship would develop, right? I'd send them funny memes. They would send me funny memes. And I'm like, oh shit, that's awesome. And then I'd be like, bro, do you want to get Thai food? And they're just like, yes, and I'm just like, awesome, let's go. Right. And like that, like organic process, like it still needs something from me, right? Like if they text me all those memes and I don't text back, if they like invite me to places and I don't go, right? Like that's okay, right? But that relationship isn't going to deepen no matter how aligned and how synchronistic that is. Like literally we grew up in the same place, moved to the same places, you know what I'm saying? Dated the same girl. Nah, that'd be weird. Right. But like maybe we shouldn't be friends. No, right. Like we could be like super hella synchronistic, but if I'm not available for a friendship, then like it won't happen. So like our intuition that's always been there for us, that like is ready to engage, that we just celebrated, I still have to be open to like hanging out. I still have to be open to texting, to creating spaces to connect. So somebody earlier asked, like, can like writing connect me to my claircognizance? And the answer is like, yes, if I'm using that to connect to my claircognizance, right? Like, that we can do that, so can like drawing, so could be singing, so could like anything really. Actually, I had a friend who used to literally like would just make sounds and like almost made his own language as a way to connect to his claircognizance. Like he would just sit there and at first it was like just babbling, and then like eventually like sounds would come out that were like a part of like his knowingness. And I got to see him do these practices a few times, and he would, after, at first it was weird, and like he had gotten this from one of his teachers, but then I saw him later, it was like a martial arts friend, and but he would make these sounds and like his whole body would resonate them from like his core, like, and it was just like this part of like expressing from those parts of him that know. So yeah, you can write from those parts of you that know. You can also write from mind. I can write from my mom's anxiety if I wanted. It wouldn't be fun, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I mean, I'm sure people do that, right? But we can write from our deep knowingness, and then that will develop our claircognizance. I was told to journal more. Totally, yeah. Sometimes I get like reminded to create more. I love doing. I do a lot of weird stuff. Like I do lapidary. I cut gemstones. and silversmith them. So anyway, so that's sometimes what I do, or I work with clay. I like making statues and stuff. So that's the stuff that works for me. And it can create a bigger space if we use it that way. I love being in the question, and the question is open up. Yeah, I totally love it, Damika. Cool. Yeah. Anyway, so I gotta run for a class. We'll probably keep hitting this for a couple weeks. I have a lot of fun ideas, and so we'll do it again. All right, y'all. Bye bye.